AITA for letting my fiancée sleep at her ex's and making her regret it the next day? Hey, I'm 29. I'm a guy, a union electrician. I make good money. I have my own apartment downtown. I drive a decent pickup truck. I've been with Marissa, 26, for almost 3 years. She's a content marketing manager, makes good money, and she's attractive. For a long time, we were the couple everyone envied. The first 2 years were solid. She had her own place across town. We always split everything 50-50ths. She never acted like I owed her anything. Independent, funny, incredible in bed. We bantered, we watched football together. She'd even help me move furniture without complaining about breaking a nail. I thought I'd found my partner for life. So, naturally, I proposed. I took her to this fancy steakhouse she loved. I got down on one knee. Did the whole 9 yards. I spent 3 months' salary on the ring because she was always dropping hints that she wanted something that would make her friends jealous. She cried, said yes, and posted 17 Instagram stories. I was on top of the world, and that's when it all started to fall apart. It was like the ring flipped a switch in her head. Suddenly, she started talking about our money instead of splitting bills. She expected me to pay for absolutely everything, because that's what a fiancé does. She stopped cooking, stopped cleaning, and started treating my apartment like a free hotel. She even had the audacity to suggest I needed to buy a bigger place for when we had kids. Then she started saying I should invest in our future by trading in my pickup for a more family-friendly vehicle. Translation: she wanted me to go $60,000 into debt so she could show off in the school pickup line. But the real poison came from her best friend, Ariel, single, bitter, stuck in a dead-end administrative job, and spent her free time sabotaging the relationships around her. Since the engagement, Marissa had chosen her as the maid of honor, and Ariel made it her mission to turn Marissa into a spoiled princess. Every time Ariel came over, I'd hear whispering in the kitchen over breakfast. Then, Marissa would come out with a new demand. Ariel says you should pay for the whole wedding since you're the man. Ariel thinks I deserve a bigger ring. Ariel says I shouldn't have to work after we're married. Every conversation cost me more money and more respect. The worst part was Ariel setting up camp on my couch, drinking my sodas, eating my food, and lecturing me on how a real man should treat his woman. This, coming from someone who'd been single for 3 years and whose last boyfriend left her for his own cousin. I confronted Marissa directly. I told her Ariel was toxic and was trying to sabotage our relationship because she couldn't stand to see her friend happy. You're being paranoid, Marissa shot back. She just wants what's best for me. No, what's best for you would be cutting ties with that bitter harpy before she destroys us. Ariel overheard me, smiled that sickly sweet smile of hers, and said, I just think Marissa deserves to be treated like a queen. If that threatens you, maybe you should ask yourself why. I should have said exactly what I was thinking, but I stayed quiet. I should have listened to my gut and ended it right then and there. I should have seen the signs when Marissa started taking Ariel's side instead of defending me. The breaking point came 6 weeks ago. Marissa announced she wanted to go to Miami with Ariel and a few friends for a girls' week. A full week of partying, bottle service every night, a luxury hotel. 2 months before our wedding. It's like my bachelorette party, she said. My last chance to be wild before I settle down. No, you're not settling down. You're marrying me. That's different. You see what I mean? Don't be so dramatic. No, I don't see what you mean at all. Explain. She got defensive. She said I was being controlling, that she deserved to have some fun before real life started. Real life? As if our engagement was just a waiting room before a prison sentence. I told her it was out of the question. Call me old-fashioned, but I'm not letting my fiancé party in Miami while I'm paying deposits for the wedding and contracts with vendors. That's when Ariel opened her mouth from the couch. See, Marissa, I told you he'd try to control you, and this is just the beginning. The fight that followed was nuclear. Marissa was screaming about trust and freedom. I was pointing out that wanting to live like a single woman while wearing my ring had nothing to do with trust and everything to do with respect. Ariel sat there, adding fuel to the fire with her little jabs. Fine then, Marissa finally screamed. If you don't trust me, then maybe we shouldn't get married. Maybe we shouldn't, I replied. Silence. It was like she was waiting for me to cave and apologize. When I didn't, she grabbed her purse and slammed the door. She didn't come back that night, or the next. I assumed she was at Ariel's, expecting me to come crawling back, apologize, and greenlight her Miami getaway. Instead, I just went about my life. Went to work, hit the gym, ordered takeout, and slept like a baby. If she wanted to play games, she picked the wrong guy. 3 years as an electrician teaches you patience and problem solving. On Wednesday night, I found out exactly where she was spending those nights. I was relaxing on the couch watching the Celtics game, enjoying the peace and quiet. No Ariel whispering her poison in the kitchen. No passive-aggressive jabs about me never doing anything romantic. Just me, a soda, and some basketball. Then my phone buzzed. A text from Marissa. I'm sleeping at Asher's place tonight. Deal with it. Asher. Her college ex, the one she claimed was just a friend, but whose name alone made the air heavy whenever it came up in conversation. The same guy who'd randomly text her every time we had a fight. I'd met him once, the cliché finance bro who still thought he was in a frat. I just stood there, staring at the message for a full minute. I read it 3 times just to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. My first instinct was to blow up her phone, demand an explanation, drive over there, and drag her back. That would have been the old me. And it was exactly what she expected me to do. Instead, I put the phone down, opened another can, and thought. This woman, wearing an $8,000 engagement ring I gave her, just informed me she was spending the night with her ex and ordered me to deal with it. After she let her toxic friend sabotage our relationship for months. The level of disrespect was so disturbing, but at the same time, a moment of clarity washed over me, like I was suddenly seeing her for who she really was. I finished my drink, turned off the game, and got to work. Because there's an important detail about my apartment. It's mine. My name on the lease, my security deposit, my furniture, everything. I pay $1,400 a month for a 1-bedroom downtown, and I can afford it. I like living alone. Marissa had moved in months earlier. Her only contribution was groceries and the utility bills. That's it. In reality, she was a long-term guest. It was time for her to check out. So, I started packing her things. No anger, no rushing. Her clothes, her makeup, her small jungle of plants, her books, everything. I used good Amazon boxes and even wrapped the fragile stuff in bubble wrap because I'm not a complete monster. The entire time, radio silence. Not a single text apologizing, nothing. She was serious. 3.5 hours later, every single one of her belongings was packed up and loaded into my pickup truck. And the funny thing is, I knew exactly where Asher lived. Marissa had asked me to drop her off there once, supposedly for a group study session. She'd asked me not to come up because Asher's roommate didn't like strangers. I should have seen the red flag right then. Between midnight and 2 a.m., I made 4 trips. I neatly stacked her belongings outside Asher's apartment door, like a professional moving company. I even left a note. Since you're staying here now, might as well move in. Landon. Then I went home, feeling lighter than I had in months. In the morning, first stop, Home Depot. I bought smart locks. I installed them myself while drinking my coffee and listening to a podcast. Calm, methodical. Then I headed to work like it was any other Thursday. Around noon, my buddy Colton texted me. He lives in the same building as Asher, works from home as a freelance graphic designer. No filter, sharp tongue. He writes, "Dude, I just saw some girl hauling boxes into an Uber from outside Asher's place. She looked wrecked. Everything okay?" I sent him the screenshots of the texts. Damn, man. That's a whole new level of disrespect. Exactly. So I dealt with it. That's insane. You want me to keep an eye out? This could get interesting. Do what you want. It's not my circus anymore. By Friday, the whole job site knew. Those guys don't mess around when it comes to relationship advice. "You kicked her out over a text?" asked Miles, our lead installer. "She told me to deal with her sleeping at her ex's. So I did." "Damn right," Holden chimed in, nodding. "Alpha move. Most guys would have been chasing after her crying." "My wife tried that game once," Miles added. "I shut that down real quick. You let that slide, and they'll walk all over you for the rest of your life." But me, I was mostly just curious to see how this would play out. And Colton never disappoints with the intel. That Thursday, I slept like a baby. First real full night's sleep in weeks, without someone sighing loudly every 5 minutes about wedding stress or complaining that her friends' engagements were so much more romantic. Friday morning, 7:45 a.m., It sounded like someone was trying to break down my door. I looked through the peephole. Marissa. She looked like she'd been rolled through a dumpster. Hair a mess. Last night's makeup smeared down her face, shaking with rage. Landon, open this door. My key isn't working. I started by making coffee. French press, good beans, the whole ritual. I let her bang and scream for a good 5 minutes while I checked work emails. When I finally opened it, with the security chain still on, she looked like she was ready to commit murder. Morning, sunshine. Sleep well. What did you do to my key? Your key? That was a copy I lent you. I changed the locks. Only residents get the codes. But I am a resident. You were. You moved in with Asher on Wednesday night. Her face went from red to white to some shade of purple I'd never seen before. Like watching a mood ring implode. You can't do that. I live here. You got mail here sometimes. That's not the same thing. You lived here as my guest, not a tenant. It's not what you think. Asher's roommate was having a crisis. I don't care. You made your choice, I made mine. Simple transaction. And your stuff is packed neatly outside Asher's door. You'd better hurry. There's a 60% chance of rain in the forecast. That's when she completely lost her mind. She started screaming like a banshee, pounding on the door, threatening me with lawyers, with her father, swearing she'd ruin my life. My neighbor in 4B cracked her door open to see the show. One look at Marissa's meltdown and she shook her head with that "I told you so" kid expression. She never liked Marissa, thought she was too spoiled for her age. You psycho. I have rights. I've lived here for over 8 months now. Have a good day, Marissa. I shut the door and put on my noise-canceling headphones. I made breakfast in peace while she continued to scream her lungs out in the hallway. Scrambled eggs, fresh orange juice. 20 minutes later, silence. A peek through the peephole, she was gone. Around noon, Colton called, laughing his ass off. Dude, I saw your ex show up at Asher's. Red eyes, mascara running. She started loading her boxes into an Uber. But here's the best part. Asher has a girlfriend. What? Yep, she's been living there for months. The so-called roommate crisis was her. Finding out another woman was sleeping over and being told she was just a friend in need. And it gets juicier. She was just getting home from a night shift. She's a nurse. She walked in on Marissa's stuff piled by the door and Marissa inside, making breakfast like she owned the place. The fight was audible 3 floors down. The building manager had to get involved to separate them. Asher was trying to explain himself to both of them, and they were both threatening to leave him, and your ex was crying about how she had nowhere to go. Better than reality TV. And it wasn't over. Marissa tried to spin it that she was Asher's emotional support friend and needed to stay for her mental health. The girlfriend told her if she wasn't gone in 5 minutes, she was calling the cops. So where is she now? I asked. Ariel came and picked her up in her beat-up old car, but the girlfriend made Asher promise that if Marissa ever shows up again, he calls the police immediately. She's not playing around, but I had a feeling this was only the beginning. Friday afternoon, I got a call from building security. Mr. Landon, there's a woman down here claiming to be your fiancée who wants to be let in. She's not my fiancée anymore. Don't let her up. Okay, but she's pretty agitated. Making a scene in the lobby. Claiming you're stealing her property. Not my problem. Thanks, Sterling. But Saturday, we kicked the crazy up a notch. In the morning, enjoying my coffee and my phone, I get another call from Sterling. Landon, you need to come down to the lobby. Your ex is here with an older man and a middle-aged woman. They're saying she has legal rights to enter your apartment. I go downstairs, and there's Marissa, flanked by her parents. Her dad, Bennett, briefcase in hand, looking serious. Her mom, Verena, arms crossed, in full courtroom mom mode. Marissa, dressed like she's about to plead her case before a judge. Sterling, the ex-Marine security guard, wasn't letting them up without my say-so. Bennett gets right to it. Landon, what is this? You've left my daughter homeless. Morning, Bennett. Morning, Verena. I give them a nod. I haven't left anyone homeless. I ended our engagement after she chose to spend the night at her ex-boyfriend's place and told me to deal with it. Verena jumps in before Bennett can respond. You can't just throw people out. She has rights. She was living here as my guest, Verena. Never signed the lease, never paid rent, never established legal residency. That's ridiculous. She was practically your wife. I pulled out my phone and showed them the screenshot. I'm sleeping at Asher's place tonight. Deal with it. That's not how a wife speaks to her husband. Bennett's eye twitched. Verina's mouth hung open in disbelief. Marissa stammered that it wasn't what it looked like. Bennett insisted, "You're overreacting." "No, Bennett. That's not an explanation. That's a declaration of war." Verina tried the guilt trip card. She made a mistake. One text. "You're destroying her life over nothing." No, she destroyed her own life with that text. I just responded accordingly. Bennett opened his briefcase. "We're prepared to file for wrongful eviction and theft. Please do. I'd love to show a judge the text where your daughter announces she's living somewhere else, along with the security footage of me calmly moving her things. I can also provide proof she was never on the lease, never had mail delivered here, and never established residency." The briefcase went back on the table. Bennett knew they were trapped. That's when Marissa tried manipulation. The tears started to flow. Her voice got shaky, almost pleading. "Honey, please, this is insane. It was just a mistake, a text. We can fix this. We just did fix it. You're free to go wherever you want. And I'm free from someone who thinks deal with it is an acceptable way to speak to her fiancé. I didn't mean it like that. Right?" Verina's face turned beet red with anger. "You're being cruel. She's devastated. Look at her." I looked at her. What I saw was a hot mess. Too late. People make mistakes, and some have consequences, Verina. This is what consequences look like. Verina turned to Sterling, the building guard. "Do you hear this? He's being abusive. You have to let us up." Sterling, unfazed. "Ma'am, what I heard was a man exercising his legal right to remove someone from his private residence. And if you continue to shout, I will call the police." Bennett knew he wasn't getting anywhere. "We're leaving, Marissa. We'll figure something else out." As they were leaving, I heard Verina mutter furiously, "I can't believe you're not making him give you money." To which Marissa replied, "He's supposed to take care of me. That's what men do." The look of pure shock on Bennett's face at his daughter's entitlement was worth everything I'd been through. But on Sunday, she went for the nuclear option, and that's when it stopped being funny. Sunday morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls from unknown numbers. Not Marissa. I'd blocked her after the lobby incident. It was mutual friends, all asking the same thing. What the hell is going on? I checked social media, and there it was, a masterpiece of melodrama. Marissa had posted a 3-paragraph story on Facebook about how she'd been suddenly abandoned by someone she trusted completely, how I'd become controlling and abusive after the engagement, how she was homeless and terrified of my violent tendencies. She even made up nonsense about me spying on her phone and isolating her from her friends. She was the real victim. Of course, Ariel was leading the charge in the comments like a panicked crisis manager. I always knew he had anger issues. Marissa is so brave for speaking out. Landon fooled all of us, but I never trusted him. The snowball effect was in full swing, with her flying monkeys calling me every name in the book. But Ariel made her first mistake. She made her own post on Facebook about supporting survivors and how she always saw the red flags with me. She posted pictures from our double dates with captions like, "I should have protected her from this monster." I only responded once. A simple screenshot of Marissa's text followed by my short reply. Nothing else. The proof spoke for itself, and the tide started to turn in the comments. My friends were asking for context. Hers were demanding to know what really happened. Then Asher's girlfriend dropped a nuke. "So this is why you showed up in my apartment with boxes claiming to be Asher's girlfriend, while I was literally standing there, after you spent the night uninvited?" The post was gone in 10 minutes, but screenshots are forever. About 50 people had already saved them. Ariel then went full pitbull on her own profile, claiming I was manipulating the narrative and gaslighting everyone. The girl had completely lost it. Quick break, folks. YouTube just launched a new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube this video needs to blow up and ensures more insane stories like this make it to you. Thanks for the support. Anyway, back to the chaos. Monday, I got the welfare check. 2 cops knock on my door, looking bored out of their minds. "Sir, we received a call about a person threatening self-harm at this address." Let me guess, my ex-fiancée. We can't disclose the caller. But yes. I invited them in. Made coffee. I showed the officers the text exchange. I explained the timeline. So, she announced she was going to sleep with her ex. I packed her things. I dropped them off there, and now she's saying I'm the one who's unstable. That about right, officer? Are you feeling okay? Any thoughts of harming yourself or anyone else? I haven't felt this good in months. I'm just annoyed she's wasting your time and public resources with false reports. They marked the call as malicious and warned me she might escalate things. One of them told me, "We see this all the time. Someone makes a bad choice, faces the consequences, then tries to weaponize the system. Keep all your documentation, bring it in tomorrow." Sound advice. Wednesday morning, I realized this wasn't just petty drama anymore. I get an alert from my credit monitoring service, an attempt to open an account using my social security number. Someone tried to open a store credit card in my name. It failed because the phone number didn't match, but they had my SSN, my date of birth, even my old college address. Guess who? I immediately called the credit agency. They confirmed the details, an attempt to open a card with a $5,000 limit. All my personal info, just the wrong phone number. I froze my credit with all 3 bureaus. Then I called the police, and the officer who took my report was the same one from the welfare check. Your ex-fiancée again? Yep. She's escalating. Identity theft is a felony, Landon. This is serious now, the games are over. I filed an official report and got a case number. He advised me to lawyer up and consider a restraining order, and he was right. 10 notifications of password reset attempts, email, bank account, even my PlayStation account, all being routed to an unfamiliar email. Friday, Colton calls with news that made my blood boil. Dude, your crazy ex convinced Asher to let her crash for a few days. It's been 3 weeks now. She's taken over the apartment. How? She's moved furniture, thrown out the girlfriend's stuff, and she's telling everyone you're going to come crawling back. Completely delusional. The girlfriend is about to move out. Asher is terrified of both of them. Oh, and she tried to order $300 worth of groceries for delivery to their place on your credit card. What? A delivery guy showed up with bags of overpriced organic crap. Asher had no idea. They called the number on the order. It was my card. Asher refused the delivery and reported the fraud to the store. Another felony to add to the file. But wait, it gets better. She's now telling all the neighbors that Asher is her new boyfriend and they're working on their relationship. She even posted Instagram stories from his apartment about new beginnings and finding real love. The girlfriend saw it and went ballistic. That's when I decided it was time to press the nuclear button. But first, there was one piece of business to handle, getting back that $8,000 ring. Monday morning, I hired Avellini, a lawyer specializing in harassment and cyberstalking. I got her name from a coworker who'd gone through something similar. A $3,500 retainer, but after the attempted bank fraud, I was done playing games. First step, Avellini sent cease and desist letters to Marissa, Bennett, Verena, Ariel, and the entire flock of flying monkeys who had been harassing me. The letters were flawless, listing everything from the false welfare check to the attempted identity theft. She stated that any further contact would result in immediate legal action. Most of Marissa's friends backed off immediately. Bennett even responded through his own lawyer with a formal apology, stating he was unaware of the escalation and would ensure no further contact. Ariel's response, however, was a gem. This is harassment. Marissa is the real victim. Landon is trying to silence us. Avellini replied with a 2-page letter explaining criminal law, pointing out that her friend had committed several felonies and that any further communication would be considered obstruction of justice and reported to the proper authorities. After that, radio silence. But before moving forward with the criminal charges, I had one more thing to settle, the ring. I asked her about it, and she explained that in this state, if an engagement is broken by the recipient, the ring must be returned to the giver. It's considered a conditional gift. Perfect. I still had the receipt, the appraisal, and the insurance. Avellini drafted a letter demanding Marissa return the ring within 72 hours or face a civil suit for conversion and theft. The letter was delivered to Ariel's apartment, where Marissa had taken refuge. On Tuesday, my phone blew up. Marissa had gotten a burner phone and was calling me from different numbers, screaming that the ring was hers and I had no right to it. You gave it to me. You can't just take it back because you're having a tantrum. Read the letter, Marissa. I'm not giving you anything else. This ring is mine. I earned it. Earned it how? By ordering me to deal with you sleeping with your ex? That's one hell of a payment plan. That's when she truly lost it. She started screaming that she would destroy me, that she would never give back the ring, that I was a psycho for even asking for it. Fine, see you in court. Dude, your crazy ex is having a full-blown meltdown. She's screaming at Ariel about the ring, crying, throwing things. Ariel is getting tired of her crap. How so? Apparently, Marissa was treating Ariel's apartment like a hotel, eating all her food, using her car without asking, bringing guys over for revenge dates, and leaving a mess everywhere. Ariel finally snapped and told her to grow up and handle her problems like an adult. Oh no, the sisterhood is cracking. Marissa started crying, saying Ariel was supposed to support her and take her side. Ariel shot back that supporting someone doesn't mean enabling their delusions. They had a massive fight. Marissa stormed out, and Ariel changed the locks. Where is she now? Back at mommy and daddy's. But here's the juicy part. Verena called Ariel screaming that she abandoned Marissa and ruined her life. Ariel responded on Facebook that Verena should get her psycho daughter under control before she ends up in prison. The house of cards was collapsing. Thursday, the news that made my day. The DA's office is pressing charges, Avellini told me. Multiple felony counts, identity theft, attempted fraud, filing a false report, and cyberstalking. They're going to arrest her. When? Tomorrow morning. And Landon, she still hasn't returned the ring. That's another felony. Theft of property over $5,000. Christmas came early, but Friday brought a surprise that reminded me this wasn't over. Early in the morning, Avellini calls. She's been arrested. Multiple felony charges, plus the ring theft. But there's a problem. She's claiming she lost it. Says she can't remember where she put it. She's either lying or she sold it. Great. My investigator is checking local pawn shops and jewelers. If she sold it, that's another felony. Saturday, Colton calls. Dude, you're not gonna believe this. 2 squad cars just rolled up to Ariel's complex. Your ex got arrested while she was on the doorstep begging Ariel to take her back. She was screaming that it was all my fault. Ariel was telling the cops she didn't even know her. Half the neighborhood was watching. The optics were perfect. They put her in the car. She just kept screaming. Better than Netflix. And the cherry on top, Verena showed up just as they were pulling away. She started yelling at Ariel that it was all her fault. Ariel slammed the door in her face. 2 hours later, Marissa was officially charged. Bail hearing was set for Monday. But with multiple felony charges and a pattern of escalation, there was a good chance she'd be held until trial. And with her record, she was looking at 3 to 5 years if convicted on everything. The identity theft alone carried a mandatory minimum sentence in this state. The next day, the news had already spread through my friend group. My buddy Elias called, laughing his ass off. Dude, half the guys from my bachelor party heard Marissa got arrested. Mason said his girlfriend saw her mugshot on Facebook. What? Yep. Ariel posted it with some sob story about how the justice system is failing women. Ariel posted the mugshot. Yeah, but it backfired. Everyone was commenting on how crazy Marissa looked and asking what she actually did. When people looked it up, they found the charges: identity theft, fraud, harassment. It's all public record now. Monday's hearing was a circus. Marissa showed up looking like she'd been living on the streets. Dirty hair, wrinkled clothes, dark circles under her eyes. Her public defender requested she be released on her own recognizance, claiming she was a young woman traumatized by an abusive relationship. Right. The prosecutor laid out the timeline of her crimes: filing a false report, identity theft, attempted fraud, continued harassment after the cease and desist letters, sabotage, and theft of an $8,000 engagement ring. The judge looked at the evidence for 30 seconds. Bail was set at $50,000. She had to surrender her passport. Bennett had to take out a second mortgage on his house to get her out. I almost felt sorry for him. Verena, on the other hand, couldn't stop making snide remarks in the courtroom about how I was destroying an innocent young girl's life. The judge had to tell her to be quiet twice. The hearing for the restraining order was even better. Marissa's lawyer tried the scorned woman defense, arguing she was emotionally distraught and not thinking clearly. The judge wasn't buying it. The result: a 5-year restraining order. Any contact would mean immediate arrest. But here's the juicy detail. In the world of content marketing, news travels fast. Getting arrested for digital crimes when your job relies on digital trust? Career ender. She was fired before she even posted bail. With felony charges pending, she was blacklisted throughout the industry. No one hires someone facing prison time for cyberstalking. 3 months later, she was back at her parents' house in Ohio at 26, sleeping in her childhood bedroom, unemployed, facing multiple felony charges, and still no ring. My investigator found it at a downtown pawn shop. Marissa had sold it for $2,000 2 days after I kicked her out. We recovered it, and she earned an additional charge for selling stolen property. Bennett sent me one last message through his lawyers, a check for $6,200 to cover all the fraudulent expenses and my legal fees. There was a note attached. I am ashamed of my daughter's behavior and want to make this right. I cashed the check. Bennett was a decent guy, stuck with a nightmare daughter and a wife who enabled her every whim. The trial was scheduled for 6 months later, but Marissa's lawyer pushed for a plea deal. The result: 2 years of probation, full restitution, mandatory anger management therapy, and the restraining order was upheld. She took it to avoid up to 5 years in prison. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. 3 months into her probation, I started dating Celine, a veterinarian who owns her own clinic. Brilliant, independent, pays her own bills, and has never once told me to deal with it. That's when Marissa's stalking and harassment came roaring back. 6 months later, things were great. I was still in my apartment, working overtime and boosting my salary, and Celine and I were solid. The Marissa nightmare seemed to be behind me, until she found Celine through social media. The harassment started again. She created fake Instagram accounts to target the clinic's page, leaving 1-star reviews, claiming Celine was unethical and had stolen someone's fiancée. Celine handled it like a champ, screenshot, report, and told me she wasn't going to let some pathetic psycho control our relationship. But Marissa wasn't done. She started showing up at Celine's clinic, claiming she needed to discuss something important. The receptionist, who had seen the photos I showed her, recognized her and called security every time. Then came the breaking point: our mutual friend Elias's wedding. I was hesitant to go, knowing there was a chance she might show up. But Celine convinced me that we shouldn't let my psycho ex dictate our social lives. Besides, she was supposed to be on probation and legally forbidden from contacting me. Colton met us there. He'd been looking forward to this wedding for weeks, not just because he's friends with Elias, but because he was hoping for exactly what was about to happen. The ceremony was beautiful. The cocktail hour was perfect. Good food, even better drinks, and people I hadn't seen in forever. I was finally starting to relax when Colton grabbed my arm with a mischievous grin. Dude, don't look now, but guess who just walked in looking like a complete wreck? I looked anyway. And there she was, Marissa, stumbling through the entrance in a wrinkled dress, clearly drunk, looking like she'd slept in it. Oh, this is going to be legendary, Colton breathed, pulling out his phone. I'm filming all of this. This is going straight to the group chat. She spotted me from across the room and made a beeline for me, knocking over a centerpiece and stepping on someone's foot along the way. Landon, she slurred, loud enough for the whole reception to hear. There you are? I knew you'd be here. Conversations died, heads turned, phones went up. The DJ even turned down the music. Leave. There's a restraining order, and you're violating your probation. I don't give a damn about your restraining order. I came here to talk to you so you'll understand. Celine moved closer to me, ready to step in. Security was already starting to move, but Colton held up a hand. He wanted to see this play out. Understand what? I asked calmly. That I made a mistake, that we're meant to be. I forgive you for everything. The jail, the lawyers, all of it. We can start over. The delusion was mind-boggling. She actually thought this was romantic. Marissa, it's over. It's been over for more than a year. No, you're just being stubborn. She shot a look of pure hatred at Celine. This is your pathetic replacement. Your downgrade. She's not even that pretty. That's when Colton stepped forward with the biggest grin I've ever seen on his face. Perfect. Marissa, this is Celine. She's a veterinarian, owns her own clinic, drives her own car, and has never committed identity theft. Crazy high standards, right? The audience loved it. Someone even started live streaming on Instagram. Marissa's face turned scarlet. Screw you. You don't know what you're talking about. She's a witch who stole my man. Your man? Colton laughed. Ma'am, you're the one who told him to deal with it while you went to sleep with your ex. That's not how you keep a man. That's how you screw yourself over. And right on cue, 2 security guards arrived. Ma'am, you need to leave immediately. No, I'm not finished. Landon, please, you have to listen to me. I love you. She reached for my arm. I stepped back. The guards moved in. This is harassment. This is illegal. I'll sue all of you. With what lawyer? Colton yelled as they escorted her toward the exit. Didn't your dad already burn through his retirement, saving you from prison? The crowd went wild. Even the bride and groom, from the head table, were trying not to burst out laughing. As they dragged her out, she made one last desperate plea. Landon, remember what we had. Remember how good it was before you ruined everything. Colton cupped his hands around his mouth and shouted, Yeah, the best part was when you ruined everything. The entire reception erupted in laughter and applause. Someone started chanting, Train wreck. Train wreck. Her final scream as security pushed her out the door. I hate all of you. Celine's ugly and Landon's a loser. Colton's final line was perfect. If that were true, you wouldn't be here begging for him back, honey. The whole thing was on social media within minutes. The hashtag Trainwreck started trending locally, complete with the caption, When reality TV goes wrong. By Monday morning, it was viral, with over 200,000 views. Elias, the groom, came up to me later that night. Man, I'm so sorry about the drama. I didn't think she'd actually show up. It's not your fault. Thanks for letting security handle it. Are you kidding? That was the best entertainment we could have asked for. My wedding will be talked about for years. Tuesday morning, Avellini called. Your ex violated the restraining order in public, in front of about 50 witnesses, with video evidence. The DA wants to revoke her probation and send her straight to jail. She's also facing new charges for harassing your girlfriend. Do you want to press charges? Absolutely. The last I heard, she's currently serving 18 months in the county jail. She wanted me to deal with it. I dealt with it, but on my terms. The lesson is simple. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.